2022. What a year. What a year. I know I also had, I think to put it simply, an insane year this year. Just to take you a bit through my year. For those that don't know, I was also just doing my honors qualification at UP in accounting science, and fortunately managed to finish that off this year. And I mean, in amongst everything, I also, of course, was involved in our storage and transportation business, Smart Storage Solutions. I was also involved in Learn Smart Education as well. So there were just numerous projects that were going on throughout, of course, my degree, including this podcast as well. So yes, to say the least, it was a very, very, very busy year. But one thing which I highly prioritize and I feel is very, very important for, in effect, anyone, whether you're a student, you're working, you're in business or whatever, something that's very important is just to look back at the year and honestly review how things went, you know, the good, the bad, of course, the ugly as well. So I think to start off, why is reviewing actually, important? What purpose does it actually serve? What can it do for you? Well, honestly speaking, it's so easy to become stagnant and, just go through a constant cycle of repeatedly being the same person year on year. And I've seen it in myself, of course, as well. I've seen it in other people around me, even in students, especially in students. But it's easy to go on and basically be the same person, make the same mistakes year on year. And of course, in doing this, you don't really develop, you don't get better, you don't improve. So I think the biggest positive or the biggest sort of factor that should encourage you to actually review your year, review how things went, is it helps you identify areas that perhaps you're strong in, things that you did well, things that you didn't do too well, and how you can actually improve for the following year. And of course, this is going to help you in your academics to do academically better, get better marks. But I think beyond academics, it just helps you as a person. You grow because, of course, and I think I mention this all the time within the WhatsApp community, but your role is much more than just a student. You as a person are much more than just a student. You have so many different facets of your life. You have your spiritual side, your emotional side, mental, family, all that stuff, social. So it's important that all these different areas in your life are attended to and none are neglected. I've seen so many students over my many years of experience make the same mistakes over and over again in prioritizing one specific aspect of their life and neglecting all others. And it may not affect you today, it may not affect you tomorrow or the next day, but somewhere down the line, it will show dividends and it will have a very negative effect on you. So this is something that I don't want for anyone out there. Ever since I sort of began on my my journey of constant and consistent development and growth, review and critical and honest review has been a very integral part of that. Honestly, without reviewing how I did and all that stuff and going through this process, without any of that, I wouldn't have been able to, first of all, I think really deeply understand myself the way I do and, be able to actually grow and measure that growth throughout, throughout time, throughout all the years and stuff. So now, I think now the big question comes in, how do you actually go about reviewing? How do you go about analyzing your performance, analyzing how you did, and critically assessing and finding points of improvement? Now, unfortunately, and I know you're probably not gonna like the answer, but I can't give you an exact answer for how you can go about it, or how you should go about it, rather, let me say that, because at the end of the day, we as people are all different. What works for me and the processes that work for me are not necessarily the same as what will work for you. So I think this is very important to understand that I'm going to give you guys a template here. I'm going to give you guys a template that I of course use, but I think that you can begin applying. But I think also it's important that you don't take this as sort of set in stone, but you also just adapt it and sort of make it your own so that it ends up working for you, because the best systems are the systems that work for you. You don't work for a system works for you. That's very important to understand. So I think the very, very first step, and it's so important, is that you have to adopt an honest lens. It's so easy to sort of overlook your glaring weaknesses, or the weaknesses that make you feel uncomfortable, or the things that when you speak about them you don't like speaking about it because it makes you feel weird inside, stuff like that. You have to be able to criticize yourself or critically analyze yourself in a very, very honest lens. Try sort of remove yourself from your body and view yourself as a third person when doing this. I think it's so important. It's so important. But there's also a very fine line between honestly critically evaluating yourself and just tearing yourself down and demoralizing yourself and being a bit too hard on yourself. This is a line that I too actually suffer with. I think one of my biggest weaknesses is being too self-critical. I think being a high achiever, in me constantly striving to better myself and to develop, I've also developed the habit of overly criticizing myself at times. So I think it's very important for you to understand that there's a balance and not cross and be too overly critical and end up sort of demotivating yourself. So use that lens of honesty, and of course, this is to benefit you. This is not for anyone else. This is not for me. This is not for your family. This is not for your friends, but it's for yourself. So be honest and do it properly. And don't just do it to get it done, but do it because you want to get it done and you want to be better and you want to grow and develop as well. And this is very important. So take a piece of paper or use your laptop. I'm a big laptop person myself. And be honest and write down your weaknesses and your strengths, things that you've identified in the year that you are perhaps a bit weak in. I think a very common one for a lot of students is procrastination, saying that you're going to do something and then postponing it for a very, very, very long time. So, just write them all down, whether you procrastinate, whether you lacked focus, whether you got distracted easily, you went out too much, this, that, just really write down all your weaknesses and also write down your strengths, the things that you feel that you actually did well. Perhaps you went to all your lectures, perhaps you did homework, perhaps you focused a lot on your spiritual side and you attended to that, perhaps your social side was very good or whatever, but really write down all your strengths or your weaknesses, the things you did good, the things you did bad. And I think after you've done this, it's important with any sort of system to have steps going forward. It's all good and well to have written down all these good things and bad things, but now what next? What's the next steps? What can you do next? And I think this is where the sort of improvement section comes in. So under all that stuff, write down improvements, things that you can improve on, because this actually sort of sets for you the steps going forward, what you can do from this point on. Of course, to address those weaknesses or those areas that you feel that you lacked a bit in. So write down, based off your weaknesses, how you can improve, what you need to do to improve. If you procrastinate, perhaps you need to meet your targets. If you did this, perhaps you need to do that, all that stuff. So I think write that down and really try address all your sort of weaknesses, and if possible as well, also try and address your strengths as well. The things that you did well that you feel that you should continue doing, please also put that down as well, because you don't want to now fall back on your strengths and sort of digress. So I think this is a very simplistic template. Strengths, weaknesses, and improvements. And then lastly, for the improvements, please put a date down. So put a date down for when you're actually going to start doing that thing that you said you're going to do. For example, if you're talking about procrastination, the best time to really start it is when the academic year begins again. So try get exact dates of when you're going to begin, so that you have an idea of when to actually implement this, and this sort of sets it in stone as a start date. Because usually people, and I think it's where people go wrong with New Year's resolutions, where they're like, yeah, I want to go to the gym more often, all that stuff, but they don't tangibly put a plan down, and they don't put dates. Because once you've dated something, you sort of give it a start. And I think the most important step is to actually start, but after starting, of course, you need to be consistent and continue doing it over and over again. So yeah, I think I just want to give you guys that start to get you off on your sort of your journey and understand when you're going to begin, and when that date comes, actually follow through with it and begin. And I'd suggest as well, you just keep this piece of paper, or if you've done it on your laptop, try get it printed out and put it up on your wall as well, so that it serves as a constant reminder for you that this is what you have to do, this is what you have to get done. So yeah guys, I really hope that this sort of mini template is going to help you out on your journey. I think the main purpose of this channel, and personally speaking, every single thing that I do, is to get you guys into a better space and really make you guys the best people that you can possibly be. I've believed that every single person in this earth has infinite potential and literally can do anything. That's the motto that I live my life by. So I want you guys walking on this journey with me. Join me on this journey, and let's see how far we can go and what we can achieve in 2023. Whether 2022 was a good year or a bad year, let's set that aside and let's focus on what more we can do in the following year. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this. I'm really trying something different now with the YouTube. I think I wanted to make it a bit more accessible to you guys, and I think sort of for you guys to get a better experience out of these videos and out of my podcast as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do, as they say, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well. If you're watching this and you're not in the WhatsApp community, I'm going to leave a link for you down in the description below. And yes guys, until the next episode, let's continue on our journey in creating a better world. Cheers guys.